we're talking for a few days about healing and exploring the concept of and teaching and principle of healing within Dharma practice. And since my 20s, I guess about my mid 20s, I've been drawn to healing professions. It's really been a strong direction of my life, this kind of wound healing for the body and mind. And in my freeform writing, I surprised myself by saying I've taken a Dharma Hippocratic Oath. And I thought, oh, have I? What do I mean by that? So, of course, I looked it up and bombarded myself with the history of the Hippocratic Oath and all the information that I could find. And this is often the thing about being given permission to look something up while we're meditating or to while we're freeform writing, is that then we get, um, uh, you know, almost like an open book test. So much information and disinformation that we now have to sort through, and we're on a whole different process while we're actually supposed to be meditating or supposed to be writing. Um, but this feels like, and I'm bringing this out because it feels like a parallel process to healing. And recently I injured my hip while I was line dancing. And so I can't dance right now, and I can't walk for long without pain. And most people that I talk with will give me all the exercises that they've done for hip healing. Um, and then I go to my acupuncture background, and I know all the kind of theories about what I should do for hip pain, and then the chiropractor's ideas about the hip pain. And then I go to my primary and get an x-ray and their ideas about hip pain, and then the physical therapist. So it's just like a bombardment of what do I do? Where do I start the healing process with all of these good suggestions and good ideas about what I should be doing. So this is part of it. Like, where do we start healing? Where does the task start when we're overwhelmed? So what I did when I looked at the oath, I just went to the statement that I was really drawn to. And there's 9 statements in the Hippocratic Oath, a modern version of it. This was the third one. And I just thought, okay, start with where I'm interested. Start with what sticks out with for me. And this is the part that I liked. I will remember that there is an art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. And I was so happy to find this. I was just like, yes. It's not only, a part of the oath, it's up at the top. It's the third out of the ninth. And, really in the statement, which is fairly simple, it starts off with, I will remember. I mean, and that's part of our sati practice, our mindfulness practice. It involves memory. Like some of these oaths or precepts that we take in Buddhism is how do we remember them? How do they become part of um, our just automatic response or come up and serve us when we forget? Like what will surface as reminders, and how do they surface within us? Because we all need reminders. And oaths and precepts are really our values, are part of our values and principles. Um, so uh, it just seems directly related to reflective meditation practice because in our meditation, we sit with our active minds, with bringing up all of these things. We don't even know where we're going to go when we sit down. And it's almost like that sorting process that I was just talking about on the internet. We can be bombarded with a lot of narratives, a lot of thoughts and feelings, a lot of sensations. We just don't know what to do with them. And where do we start? Um, so this idea of it being an art, that there's an art to this, There's an art to medicine. There's an art to healing. There's an art to dharma practice. It's not like a dry practice where we read something and then just apply it or expect things to go the way, our favorite authors have told us they would. Um, it takes imagination and skill, healing does, and that patience and practice. And it's messy. I think of my dad's art room, and I go in there and there's paint splattered all over the walls, even though we put down plastic to try to have it so that the whole room doesn't become a piece of artwork. It's just messy, and it takes time to clean things up, and you go in the wrong direction at times. You don't even know if your attempts in art are going to bring fruit. And I think this is part of Dharma practice. We're trying to lead ethical life, be kinder to ourselves, but it doesn't always work that way. And what happens when the experiment goes sideways? Um, so the second part of the statement of warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or chemist's drug. There's just something about the way this is stated of this kindness, what we talk about kindness and curiosity, that it may outweigh extreme measures, and that this is a first place to start. So when I don't know what to do, sometimes it's as simple in a healing process as being nice to myself that day. One of my colleagues and friends, we were talking, and a few times she was really talking about the complexity of a few situations she's in and the difficulty. She said, "Oh, and I just went into my room and just sat quietly and felt really kind towards myself and compassionate." And she said this a few times in our conversation, and she's done our practice for a while. And I just thought, wow, it really does start to take hold that this is what we remember to do when we're in the midst of a crisis, a healing crisis, even, that we just take a little bit of time to be nicer to ourselves, to be kind and compassionate. And that's a favorable condition for healing. And this is the Buddhist's word, is remove obstacles for healing and create favorable conditions. And I don't know anything really more favorable than being a little bit nicer to yourself today or to ourselves today. And that's kind of colloquial language, but I grew up with that. Be nice to others and be nice to yourself. So you could look that up on the internet if you wanted while we're meditating, but I would say just go with whatever comes up for you this morning. We're going to sit together for 30 minutes and then have time for reflection afterwards. And yes, welcome to anybody that's new. It's really nice